The Count of Monte Cristo is a adventure novel written by the French author Alexandre Dumas in 1844, who is also famous for being the writer of the novel The Three Musketeers. The film, The Count of Monte Cristo, is a American adaptation of the novel released in 2002, and it was directed by Kevin Reynolds. Both the novel and the film revolves around the story of Edmond Dantes, a 19-year-old French sailor, although the film did some major changes in comparison to the original plot. First change. In the film, Edmond is the second mate of the ship Pharaon, whereas Danglars is the first mate. The plot starts with them going to Elba Island, where Edmond meets Napoleon Bonaparte, who asks Dantes to send a letter to Monsieur Clarion. Because Edmond was naive and didn't know how to read, and Napoleon swore the content of the letter was innocent, Edmond believed Napoleon and eventually was arrested for treason. In the book, Edmond is the first mate of the Pharaon, whereas Danglars was Dante's boss accountant. Edmond goes to Elba to deliver a package to the Grand Marshal Bertrand, and the Marshal asks him to deliver a letter to Monsieur Noirtier in Paris. Edmond does know how to read and write, but he tries to deliver the letter, believing the letter was innocent, and was arrested for that.
The enemies of Dante. In the movie, Dante's main enemy is his childhood friend Fernand Mondego, who has been jealous of him ever since. However, his envy reached its peaks when Edmond was appointed captain of the Pharaon and consequently would have the money to marry Mercedes. Because of this, he ends up telling the first mate, Danglars, what happened on Elba, and this gives him the idea of denouncing Dante as a traitor. In the book, the main cause of Edmond Down is Danglars. The accountant, angry at the boy's good fortune, takes advantage of the jealousy of the unfortunate Catalan Fernand and prepares a letter denouncing Dante. This letter Fernand sent with the sole intention of getting rid of our rival in love. And so we come to Edmond's third enemy, which was the same in the both in the book and the movie, which is Villefort. Time in prison. In Alexander Dumas' book, Edmond spent 14 years imprisoned in the castle of If and spent 10 years plotting his revenge. In prison, he met Abad Faria, a prisoner that everyone thought was crazy because he said he has a treasure and offered huge amounts to anyone who freed him. However, he wasn't crazy and he really knew where an immense fortune was located. Dante met the abbot when he realized that someone was digging a tunnel near his cell. However, realizing that had dug in the wrong direction, the priest wanted to give up, but Edmond convinced him to continue. In the movie, the protagonist's stay in prison was 13 years, and after that, it was another 3 years before he found the treasure and started his revenge. Dante and Abad Faria met when the priest invaded Edmond's house, thinking he was heading towards of other wall. But even realizing his mistake, the abbot did not give up on his plan and even asked Dante for help to continue digging the tunnel.
In the film, Albert was the son of Edmond Dante, and his mother Mercedes only married Fernand because she knew she was pregnant. I read in the book, Albert has no blood connection with Dante, and he's Fernand's legitimate son, but is spared from the revenge of the Count of Monte Cristo, as well as his mother. Edmond and Mercedes don't stay together. And speaking of Mercedes, one of the things that disappointed me the most in Dumas' history is that in the end the Count of Monte Cristo and Mercedes don't stay together. In the film, the culpable discovers all the setup and was made into separating them and end up together. Wherever in the book Monte Cristo takes revenge on Fernand, revealing to everyone a not crime that this man committed and who made his fortune thanks to him, who, seeing himself ruined and abandoned by his wife and son, committed suicide. Mercedes and Albert that give up the money left by Fernand as one inheritance and start to live simply and modestly. In the book, Abba de Faria died because he had terminal illness and not because of tunnel collapse, as we see in the film, or the fact that in future film Edmond was accompanied by Jacopo when he found the treasure, whereas in the original work Dante was totally alone. Anyone who has read the book before seeing the movie will find the later extremely short and incapable of telling the history of the Count of Monte Cristo satisfactorily.
There are many changes between the book and the movie, such as in the book, Abel Faria died because he had a terminal illness and now because of a tunnel collapse, and we see in the film. Or the fact that feature film Edmund was accompanied by Jacopo when he found the treasure, whereas in the original work Dante was totally alone. Not to mention the stories of the other characters like Cocumelo, Luigi Vampa, Mr. and Mrs. of Villafort, Hayden, and many others that are not even mentioned in the movie. I hope you enjoyed learning about some of the difference between the book and the movie, The Count of Monte Cristo. And that's all. See you next time!